friends, welcome back to Interesting Chinese Culture. Welcome to this episode. Today, we are going to talk about a steaming hot topic, morning markets and night markets in China. I believe many of you may have this habit. You open YouTube and watch videos about Chinese food. In the past 2 years, as China's morning market and night market culture has become more visible, more and more creators on YouTube have started filming videos in different Chinese cities, walking through morning markets and night markets, and recording what they see. Most of these videos do not have English explanations. They simply record Chinese street food, crowded streets full of people moving around, and the sounds of vendors calling out to customers. At this moment, many people may ask, where is this? In fact, almost every city in China has a few streets like this. In the morning, people gather on these streets for a certain period of time, and then the crowds slowly disappear. When night falls, the same kind of street life appears again. In today's episode of Interesting Chinese Culture, we are going to talk about the history and culture behind China's morning markets and night markets. You may have seen scenes like this in photos or videos. Before the sky is fully bright, white steam is already rising from the street, and the oil pot for frying youtiao is sizzling. Late at night, the charcoal fire from barbecue stalls turns half the street red, and people raise their glasses of beer while laughter mixes with the sound of stir-frying. For many foreign friends visiting China for the first time, this kind of street life, where people are buying, selling, eating, and drinking from morning to night, feels both new and strangely natural. Why does a Chinese city often wake up before the sun rises? Before the sky is fully light, vegetable stalls have already been set up. Soy milk machines begin to rumble. White steam rises from bamboo steamers. Fruit sellers move baskets while greeting familiar customers. Then, when night comes, another version of the city appears. The lights turn on. Smoke rises from grilled skewers. The sound of walks becomes louder and more frequent. Young people, elderly people, tourists, workers who have just finished their shifts, and parents with children all slowly walk into the same street. To many foreigners, China's morning markets and night markets look like a lively kind of street life. But to Chinese people, they are more like an ancient rhythm of daily life. The morning market begins the day. The night market brings the day to an end. To understand why morning markets and night markets are so deeply woven into Chinese life, we need to move the timeline back thousands of years. To understand China's morning markets and night markets, we cannot begin only with the English idea of a street market. Many countries have farmers' markets, flea markets, weekend markets, and night food streets. But behind China's morning markets and night markets, there is a much deeper historical logic. It is connected to ancient city management, commercial systems, farming society, festival customs, religious spaces, regional flavors, family structures, and the special Chinese feeling of renao, or liveliness. Chinese people often say that a place has yan hu qi, which is very hard to translate directly into English. It is not just the smoke and fire from food. It is not just the noise of the marketplace. It means that people are really living there. People are trading, calling out, bargaining, buying vegetables in the morning, and eating a bowl of hot soup late at night. It is proof that life is happening. Chinese market culture began very early. After early human communities formed, exchange also began to appear. People took the grain, salt, cloth, pottery, livestock, and tools they had in extra amounts and exchanged them for things they needed. After ancient states were formed, markets were no longer just natural places of exchange. They were gradually brought into the order of the city. Ancient people needed markets because there were no modern supermarkets, no logistics platforms, and no cold chain storage. Food, cloth, firewood, medicine, livestock, and handmade tools all had to be traded face to face. Because of this, the market became the most direct connection between ordinary people and the way society functioned. For a very long time, ancient China was an agricultural society, so the rhythm of the market was first shaped by farming. Farmers had to plant, harvest, and store crops according to the seasons. They also had to bring agricultural products to markets and sell them. Villages were often far apart, and the population density was not the same everywhere, so many rural markets did not open every day. Instead, they opened on fixed dates. This is what people in many parts of China call ganji, ganqiang, ganji, or chenxu. In northern China, people often say ganji, meaning to go to a periodic market. In many southern areas, people say ganxiu or chenxu, and in some ethnic minority areas in southwestern China, there are also local names for it. But they all share the same basic idea. The market appears on a regular cycle, and people go there according to the date. Sometimes the market opens every 3 days, Sometimes it opens every 5 days. Sometimes it follows fixed dates on the lunar calendar. On market day, villagers nearby bring chickens, ducks, eggs, vegetables, firewood, bamboo, goods, cloth, herbal medicine, and mountain products to a fixed place. They buy things and they also sell things. In academic studies, this kind of market is also called a rural periodic market. In late imperial China, there were many types of rural markets, known by names such as Sang, Chang, Ji, Dian, Shi, and Hui. By the Tang and Song dynasties, many county towns, townships, and villages already had regular periodic markets. This Ganji culture can be difficult for foreign audiences to understand at first, because it shows that markets in China were never just commercial spaces. They were also social spaces in rural society. When a person went to a market, buying vegetables was only one part of the trip. They might also see relatives, hear news from nearby villages, buy a pair of shoes for a child, find someone to repair farming tools, hear that a certain family was preparing a wedding, or learn that someone's ox had been sold for a good price. For many older people, their memories of rural markets are not only about low prices and fresh goods, they are also about a kind of public life in the countryside. Today, people in modern cities are used to placing orders on their phones and having goods delivered straight to their doors. But in traditional society, news and goods often moved together.
Whose harvest was good this year? Which road was hard to travel? What kind of cloth was popular? Which vendor was honest and fair? All of this information spread through the market. The livelier the market was, the stronger the social connections of a place became.
Let's first turn the clock back to the pre-Qing period, meaning the time before the Qin dynasty unified China in 221 BCE. Back then, there was no unified currency. If people wanted something they did not have, they had to take the extra things they owned and exchange them with others. This is what we call barter. For example, if a family had too many pottery jars, they could use those jars to exchange for some grain. If they had grown too many vegetables, they could use vegetables to trade for a chicken. At that time, most of the people who set up stalls were nobles, while ordinary people rarely made a living by doing business. As for common people, they could only occasionally take out vegetables their families could not finish, or small objects they no longer needed, find a place to lay them out, and sell them for a little money, or exchange them for something they needed. According to legend, Jiang Ziya, who later helped King Wen of Zhou establish the Zhou dynasty, once set up stalls in the markets of Chaoge and Mangjin before he met King Wen of Zhou. He had sold wine and worked in slaughtering. To put it simply, he was once a small street vendor. At that time, there were still no fixed morning markets or night markets. Trading was mainly meant to meet basic needs in daily life. But this was the starting point of China's street market trading culture. By the Chen dynasty, Chen Shihuang unified the currency. In theory, trade should have become easier, and life should have become a little better for small vendors, right? But that was not what actually happened. The Qin dynasty carried out a policy of valuing agriculture and suppressing commerce. According to the laws of that time, escaped criminals, live-in sons-in-law, and merchants could all be sent to serve in the army and guard the frontier. Also, the Qin dynasty's anti-commerce policies were mainly aimed at small merchants with little capital and low profit. This was because the core of Shangyang's reforms was to reward farming and warfare. The state needed a large labor force to farm the land and serve as soldiers, so it tried to suppress small vendors who seemed to be not doing proper work. Ironically, this created even more space for big merchants with strong capital. Still, the Qin dynasty's unified currency did improve the efficiency of trade, and the number of ordinary people doing business freely among the public slowly began to grow. By the Han dynasty, this market system became even more detailed. In some especially prosperous areas, such as Guzheng in the northwest, which is today's Wuwei in Gansu province, there was even a phenomenon called markets opening 4 times a day. In other words, within a single day, the market opened 4 different times. In the early Han dynasty, especially during the reigns of Emperor Wen and Emperor Jing of Han, commercial control gradually became looser, and street stalls became more active. At that time, small businesses that seemed very ordinary, such as selling drinks, sharpening knives, or making pickled animal stomach, could actually make a good amount of money. It was a little like the kind of news we see today about a pancake auntie earning 30,000 yuan a month. But the good times did not last long. After Emperor Wu of Han, the Han dynasty once again leaned toward valuing agriculture over commerce. It not only created state monopolies on salt and iron, but also imposed heavy taxes on merchants and even placed identity restrictions on people who entered the market to do business. Life became difficult again for small vendors. For example, Liu Bei,
who later founded Shuhan, made a living by selling straw sandals in his early years. He lived in poverty and had no real chance to become rich like some small merchants in the early Han Dynasty. But there is a very important turning point that needs to be explained here. The night markets of the Han Dynasty were completely different from the night markets we understand today. They were not created for entertainment or leisure. Instead, they were a forced choice under strong pressure to survive. Night markets in that period often appeared in remote areas or mountainous regions with poor transportation, because people had to farm or travel during the day and only had time to trade at night. Also, Han Dynasty night markets were very small in scale, with very limited kinds of goods. Most of the people involved were nearby villagers, and the things being traded were the most basic survival supplies. In the words of historians, this was only the early form of a night market with a certain folk culture character. It was not yet a real commercial night market in the true sense. The dynasty that truly changed the nature of the night market was the Tang Dynasty. But here, there is a huge contradiction we need to understand. The Tang Dynasty was one of the most brilliant dynasties in Chinese history. Chang'an was one of the largest cities in the world at that time, with a population of over 1 million, and commerce was extremely prosperous. But strangely, in such a prosperous age, night markets were suppressed more strongly than ever before. The reason was that the Tang Dynasty used an extremely strict system of urban management, the ward market system. The market system of ancient Chinese cities changed clearly from one dynasty to another. Chang'an in the Tang Dynasty is a key example for understanding this change. Chang'an was a very important metropolis in the world at that time. Its city planning was orderly and regular, and residential areas and commercial areas were managed separately. The Eastern Market and the Western Market were the two most important markets in Chang'an. They were large in scale and connected to roads and waterways. According to historical records, markets in Tangkan usually opened at noon and closed at dusk. The Western Market was more connected to foreign goods and international trade, while the Eastern Market mainly supplied locally produced goods such as salt, tea, silk fabrics, precious metals, timber, and horses. Imagine this. If you traveled back more than 1,000 years to the Tang Dynasty and went to Chang'an, the most prosperous city in the world at that time, which is today's Xi'an, you'll find that, although the streets were wide and neat, you could hardly find a restaurant or small shop open along the roadside. And there would be no breakfast stalls selling food before dawn, let alone places where people could eat barbecue late at night. It was not because people back then did not want to do business, it was because the government had created a very strict set of rules for city management called the ward market system. Very early in Chinese history, around 3,000 years ago during the Zhou dynasty, rulers had already begun to divide cities into separate blocks with walls. Each residential district was called a ward. It was surrounded by high walls, and every morning and evening, doors were opened and closed according to the sound of drums and bells. At night, the entire city was under curfew. Except for patrolling soldiers, anyone who dared to walk on the street could be arrested and beaten 20 times with bamboo rods. All places of business were pushed into designated markets, and even the opening and closing times were decided by the government. This system became the strictest during the Tang Dynasty. Chang'an was divided into exactly 108 wards, and each ward was like a closed residential compound. No buying or selling was allowed inside the ward walls. If you wanted to buy a pound of salt or a bowl of noodles, you had to travel a long way to the official market in the east or west of the city, and you had to finish your transaction within the permitted time. So, under this kind of system, morning markets and night markets basically did not exist. The laws of the Tang Dynasty stated very clearly that markets could not be established unless the place was the seat of a prefectural or county government. Also, doing business outside the official hours was illegal. Today, when we talk about the Tang Dynasty, we often think of beautiful silk, delicate porcelain, and a prosperous, open age. But in reality, daily life was not very convenient for ordinary people. They could not buy breakfast right outside their homes, and they could not go out at night to have a meal with friends. However, no matter how strict a system is, it cannot completely stop people's desire to do business and buy things. By the late Tang Dynasty, agriculture and handicraft production became more and more developed, and these overly rigid management methods began to crack. In places near the markets of Chang'an, some people began to trade secretly at night. The government repeatedly issued orders to ban this, but it could never fully stop these small deals carried out quietly in the darkness.
By the Five Dynasties and Ten Kingdoms period, a short period of division after the Tang Dynasty, an emperor of later Zhou finally made an important decision. He ordered that shops in the capital, Kaifeng, be allowed to build awnings along the street and open doors and windows in the walls. This order was basically an official announcement that the system of separating wards and markets, which had lasted for 1,000 years, meaning that residential areas and commercial areas had to remain separate, was dead from that moment on. The dynasty that truly legalized night markets was the Song dynasty. After the northern Song was established, the urban economy developed rapidly, and the urban citizen class continued to grow. The old ward market system, in which residential areas and commercial areas were strictly separated, gradually fell apart. Song Taizu, Jiao Kuangyin, simply issued an order allowing night markets in the capital to stay open until the third watch, around 1 o'clock in the morning. After that, they were no longer banned. With this, night markets became completely popular. In Kaifeng, the capital of the northern Song, the night markets were so lively that they would stay open until the end of the third watch, and then reopen again at the fifth watch. Even in winter, when there were strong winds, heavy rain, or snow, the night markets still continued. Lian, the capital of the southern Song, which is now Hangzhou, was even more extreme. Night markets connected directly with morning markets, almost running through the entire night, and they continued all year round without stopping. The significance of this imperial order cannot be overstated. It marked the practical collapse of a curfew system that had lasted for several hundred years, and it marked the transformation of ancient Chinese urban management from a rigid, closed model to a flexible, open one. Soon after that, during the reign of Song Taizong, the phenomena of encroaching on the street appeared. More and more merchants opened shops along the street without official permission, and the government could no longer stop them. By the Jingyu period, under Emperor Renzong of Song, the government simply announced that as long as merchants paid taxes, they could open shops freely on both sides of the street. By the Shining period, under Emperor Shenzong of Song, the drum tower in Kaifeng no longer beat the drums, and the night patrol system in the capital no longer had any real power. The ward walls were torn down, the ward gates were removed, the old closed ward market system completely collapsed. In its place came a brand new urban form where residential areas, commercial areas, and handicraft production areas mixed together. Shops lined both sides of the streets, and people came and went from morning until night. Under this brand new urban structure, morning markets and night markets entered a period of prosperity like never before. Kaifeng, the capital of the northern Song dynasty, was a world-class metropolis with a population of more than 1 million. Its night markets began in the evening and did not close until the third watch late at night. Even more surprisingly, before the night market had fully ended, the morning market had already opened. In Taiwei Shangkongtan, there is a very vivid record. The night market stayed open until the third watch ended, and by the fifth watch, it opened again. This means the night market did not close until the third watch, but by the fifth watch, between 3 and 5 in the morning market had already started. In other words, in some busy areas of Kaifeng, the markets and streets were almost running 24 hours a day. During the day, they were crowded commercial streets. In the evening, they became bright and lively night markets. At dawn, they turned into steaming morning markets. This cycle repeated again and again, almost without stopping. By the Song dynasty, morning markets and night markets had already become an important part of urban life. In the morning markets, fresh vegetables, fruit, and meat were all available, along with all kinds of breakfast shops. People bought the ingredients they needed for the day, or ate a hot breakfast before going to work. Night markets offered even more. Besides food, there were also stalls selling clothing, hats, fans, bed curtains, potted plants, flowers, antiques, calligraphy, and paintings. There were even entertainment venues such as Huazi and Gulan, where people could listen to music and watch performances. Merchants at that time also had a strong sense of service. If customers did not want to go out, they could even order takeout. There were special runners who delivered meals to people's homes, very much like food delivery services today. Night markets allowed people to keep spending and enjoying life after finishing their work during the day. Morning markets allowed people to buy breakfast, ingredients, and daily goods before the sky was fully bright. In Song dynasty writings, we often see descriptions of Bianjing's night markets, morning markets, restaurants, tea houses, food shops, street vendors, Huazi, and Gulan. Today, when we talk about the urban night economy, it sounds like a modern business idea. But in fact, large cities in the Song dynasty already had very mature nighttime consumption scenes.
A China Daily report on the night market tradition of Kaifang also mentioned that Dongjing Menghua Lu recorded the rhythm of urban life in the northern Song capital, where night markets stayed open late into the night and reopened again before dawn. Today, Kaifang still turns this Song dynasty night market tradition into cultural tourism experiences, such as night tours, night shopping, nighttime entertainment, and night food. The things sold there were incredibly varied: rice and water, stewed meat, dried meat slices, badger meat, wild fox meat, air-dried chicken, goose, duck, rabbit, tripe, and lungs, eel, chicken skin, kidneys, and more. Each serving cost only 15 yuan. In summer, there were chilled desserts, and in winter, there were hot soups and thick broths. Around Juchik Gate, vendors sold freshly fried lamb intestines, preserved meat, ginger and fermented beans, spicy feet, and ginger-spiced radishes. The whole night market was full of people coming and going. The noise was loud, and the smell of food mixed with the smell of the crowd, creating the most realistic picture of urban life in the Song dynasty. For foreign listeners, the most interesting thing about Song dynasty morning markets and night markets is that they make ancient Chinese cities feel surprisingly modern. Many people imagine ancient life as slow, with quiet nights and everyone resting after sunset. This impression may be partly true in the countryside, but it is not complete when we look at major cities in the Song dynasty. Bianjing had a large number of migrants, canal transportation, officials, merchants, craftsmen, boatmen, porters, performers, scholars, monks, Taoist priests, female workers in restaurants, tea house assistants, and street vendors. A city like this could not possibly operate only during the day. People transporting goods had to enter the city early in the morning. People making breakfast had to light their fires even earlier. People consuming at night needed food and entertainment. Travelers needed places to stay. Officials needed something to eat before attending court. Laborers needed to fill their stomachs after work. This is how morning markets and night markets became connected, almost giving the city a continuous commercial breath. Behind this prosperity was the highly developed commodity economy of the Song dynasty and the rapid growth of the urban population. Before the Song dynasty, the main functions of Chinese cities had long been political administration and military defense. Commerce was only secondary. But by the Song dynasty, commerce suddenly became one of the most important functions of the city. Cities were no longer merely places where officials worked and armies were stationed. They became places where millions of ordinary people made a living, consumed goods, and enjoyed entertainment. Morning markets and night markets were the clearest sign of this transformation. They told the world that a city was not just a place to sleep, it was a living space full of endless possibilities. After the Yuan dynasty overthrew the Song dynasty, the situation changed again. The Mongol rulers restored a strict curfew system. The curfew lasted from the third quarter of the first watch, around 8:12 at night, to the third quarter of the fifth watch, around 4:12 in the morning. During this time, pedestrians were forbidden from appearing on the streets. The only exceptions were officials dealing with urgent public matters or common people facing sudden situations such as death, illness, childbirth, or pregnancy. The once extremely prosperous night markets fell silent for a time. However, the Yuan dynasty existed for less than 100 years, and even when the curfew was at its strictest, commercial activity along the grain transport routes did not completely stop. After the Yuan dynasty made Beijing its capital, it opened water routes for transporting grain from the south to Beijing. Thousands upon thousands of grain ships stopped at Tongzhou, and sailors completed transactions directly on the boats, forming a kind of moving waterborne night market. This was a very interesting phenomenon. When night markets on land were banned, night markets on the waterways instead found space to survive because they existed in a blind spot of official control. After the Ming dynasty was established, the curfew system loosened again, and night markets once more developed vigorously. Ming dynasty night markets had several clear features. First, they became larger in scale. They were no longer limited to the central areas of major cities, but extended into suburban areas outside the city walls. Second, their functions became more diverse. In addition to traditional food service night markets, new forms also appeared, such as cultural entertainment night markets and leisure tourism night markets. Third, the quality of goods in night markets varied greatly. Some night markets sold beautiful goods at fair prices, but others were filled with fake and low-quality products. By the late Qing dynasty, the government even had to set up special police institutions to manage night markets. Night markets in the Qing dynasty continued the pattern of the Ming dynasty, but there were also some new changes. In Beijing, a special kind of morning market appeared, called Xiaxi, or dawn market. It was also known as Gishi, or ghost market. This kind of market opened around dawn and disappeared once the sky was fully bright. The goods traded there were mainly antiques, old clothing, broken furniture, and similar items. Buyers and sellers usually traded in the darkness, bargaining in low whispers or with hand gestures because they did not want others to recognize their identities. For declining members of the 8 banners, this was their only way to sell family property. For people at the bottom of society, it was a good place to find cheap goods. Even more interestingly, the Qing Dynasty Dawn Market also gave rise to a unique poor men's market. Beside the eastern and western small markets, there were places that specialized in selling torn clothes and worn-out hats. How ragged were these clothes? They were so shabby that even poor scholars from humble families looked down on them. Only people who could barely secure basic food and warmth would come here to search for a piece of clothing that could just about cover the body. They picked up scraps of cloth and waste paper from the road, brought them here near the end of the 5th watch to sell, and hurried away as soon as the sky turned bright. This detail is cruel, but it also very honestly reflects the gap between rich and poor in Qing Dynasty urban society. The most common sounds in a Chinese morning market are bargaining and greetings between familiar faces. Foreigners sometimes understand bargaining simply as a price game, but in traditional Chinese markets it also carries a social meaning. Regular customers often know which stall has the freshest vegetables, and stall owners also know which family has more people, who prefers cheaper small vegetables, and who is especially picky about fruit. The buyer and the seller are not necessarily friends, but after seeing each other for a long time, they form a kind of weak social connection. The order of a morning market is not built entirely on contracts, it also depends on familiarity, reputation, experience, and trust. If a stall owner gives less than the proper weight, word will spread quickly in the neighborhood. If a customer comes often, they may get a better price, or even an extra handful of green onions. This kind of relationship is hard to find in a modern supermarket. Supermarket products are standardized, prices are fixed, and there is very little communication between people. But in a morning market, the goods still carry soil, difference, seasonality, and human warmth. The night market is another kind of psychological space. It is related to hunger, and it is also related to relaxation. Markets during the day often carry the function of survival, while markets at night carry more emotional functions. The most representative things in Chinese night markets are usually not expensive dishes, but steaming hot snacks. Barbecue, fried rice noodles, fried noodles, wontons, clay pot dishes, braised foods, sweet soups, fried skewers, malatong, jianbing, grilled cold noodles, stinky tofu, liangpi, ruji momo, gokui, and hot and sour noodles. Every region has its own night market flavors. They are relatively cheap, and the cooking process happens right in front of the customers. Fire, oil, wok, spatula, smoke, and aroma all appear on the spot. Foreigners often call this experience street food, but the key point of a Chinese night market is not only food. It is also street. That street, that plastic table, that noisy background sound, and that sense of safety in a crowd are all part of the night market experience. Food in night markets often carries strong local character.
Xi'an night markets have wheat-based foods, rujiamo, yangru palmo, and all kinds of northwestern snacks. Chengdu night markets cannot be separated from spicy and numbing flavors, skewers, rabbit heads, maokai and ice jelly. On the streets of Guangzhou at night, there may be sweet soups, rice noodle rolls, congee, roasted meats, and seafood. In northeastern night markets, grilled cold noodles, fried skewers, snacks with the flavor of guobaorou, and large portions of barbecue are common. Yunnan night markets have grilled Rashiang cheese, soft tofu, rice noodle. Northern Daji also has a special atmosphere, and that is the feeling of staying warm together. In the cold winter, the outdoor temperature may be dozens of degrees below zero, but the energy of the crowd at the Daji can make people forget the cold. Stall owners share the same charcoal fire basin, and customers who have finished shopping can also come over to warm their hands. People share information with one another, talking about which stall has sweeter cabbage and which stall has better pork. Sometimes they even help neighbors buy things. The sense of safety and belonging created by this collective action makes the Daji more than a place to buy vegetables. It becomes an emotional shelter in the cold winter. In the south, however, the form of markets is completely different. Southern people call markets you or ji. For example, people in Guangxi say ganxu, and people in Yunnan say ganji. Southern yoi markets are usually set up by rivers or near bridges, and the air is filled with moisture and the fresh smell of soil. The special features of southern markets are delicacy and freshness. Seafood stalls are filled with lively fish and shrimp. Vegetable baskets hold greens that still carry morning dew. Handmade rice cakes and cured sausages give off tempting aromas. Southern people like to take their time when they go to a market. Tea sellers may set out small teapots and invite people to taste the tea. Pastry sellers may cut small pieces for people to try. When people bargain, their voices are not loud. They speak gently, but they calculate very carefully.
Why are northern and southern Daejis so different? The root cause lies in differences in climate and local products. Northern winters are long and cold, and vegetables are difficult to grow in winter, so people have to stock up on large amounts of cabbage, potatoes, radishes, and other vegetables that can be stored for a long time before winter arrives. This habit of storing food created a need for large-scale concentrated shopping. You cannot go to the market every day, because when it is 20 or 30 degrees below zero outside, one trip out means you need to buy enough vegetables for several days. Also, villages in northern China are spread out over a wide area with fewer people, and markets are farther apart from one another, so a Daeji is usually held once every 5 days, or even once every 10 days. One market day has to meet people's needs for many days. The south is completely different. The climate is warm and humid, and vegetables can be grown all year round. Even in winter, people can still eat fresh leafy greens. Since fresh ingredients can be bought at any time, there is no need to store a huge amount all at once. Southern people are used to the rhythm of buying vegetables every day. Buying some choy sum in the morning, a fish at noon, and a few more greens in the evening is very normal. On top of that, the south is rainy and humid, so outdoor Daeji are hard to maintain. One heavy rainstorm in summer can ruin the entire market. Because of this, southern markets tend to be smaller, more regular, and more indoor-based. Chinese market culture also has a deep connection with temple fairs. Temple fairs originally developed around Buddhist temples, Taoist temples, local deity worship, and folk beliefs. On certain festivals, people went to burn incense, pray for blessings, and fulfill vows. Once crowds gathered, vendors naturally appeared. Some sold incense, candles, paper horses, food, toys, cloth, and daily goods. Later, there were also opera performances, acrobatics, martial arts, lion dances, folk games, and handicraft displays. People's Daily's introduction to Chinese temple fair culture mentioned that temple fair activities generally include religious rituals, entertainment, and trade. Temple fairs began around temples.
Religious festivals brought crowds, and those crowds created business opportunities for vendors. Over time, temporary markets developed into gatherings with fixed activities and public entertainment. If we place Chinese market culture in a global context, foreign audiences will find that it has similarities with medieval European fairs, Arab bazaars, and Southeast Asian night markets. They all depend on crowds. They are all connected to trade routes. They all bring goods, food, and performances together. But Chinese markets have one very distinctive feature. They go deep into the small details of daily life. Many Chinese morning markets do not try to look exotic, and they do not deliberately perform for tourists. Stall owners are simply selling vegetables. Elderly people are simply choosing eggs. A mother is simply buying breakfast for her child. A worker is simply eating a bowl of noodles before work. But precisely because these actions are not packaged, they feel real. If foreigners want to understand Chinese society, a morning market is more direct than a tourist attraction. Tourist attractions show cultural symbols. Morning markets show how ordinary people live. The reason morning markets and night markets are so deeply rooted in Chinese life is also closely related to Chinese food culture. The importance Chinese people place on eating is probably unmatched by any other people in the world. And morning markets meet Chinese people's almost religious devotion to breakfast. In China, breakfast is not something people simply grab in a careless way. It is one of the most important meals of the day. A steaming bowl of tofu pudding, a crispy golden youtiao, a jianbing wrapped with all kinds of fillings, a thick and spicy bowl of hulatang. These foods are not just fuel to fill the stomach. They are also a sense of ritual that begins the day. In northeastern China, the morning market is a carnival of carbohydrates. Dazazi porridge, sticky bean buns, fried rice cakes, jianbing, shaobing, guobing, thousand-layer pancakes, cornmeal cakes. All kinds of pancake and bread-like foods appear in endless varieties, and each one has its own name and method. In Shandong morning markets, jianbing is the unquestioned star.
One thin jianbing can wrap almost anything under the sky. Scallions, pickled vegetables, pork head meat, chili sauce, whatever you want. Beijing morning markets cannot be separated from duji and jiaoquan. This is a combination that seems unbelievable to outsiders, but Beijingers are deeply obsessed with it. Tianjin morning markets are ruled by jianbing guozi. Mung bean batter is spread into a thin pancake. An egg is cracked on top. Scallions and sesame seeds are sprinkled over it. Then it is flipped, brushed with sweet bean sauce and chili sauce, filled with crispy fried sheets, rolled up and wrapped. For just a few yuan, you can buy a full sense of happiness. In the South, morning market food pays more attention to freshness and delicacy.
In Suzhou, people may eat a green king tuan or a piece of sweet, sticky square cake in the morning, together with fragrant biluchan tea. Guangzhou's morning tea takes breakfast to the level of art. Shrimp dumplings, shumai, char siu buns, rice noodle rolls, chicken feet, pork ribs, sticky rice chicken. With one pot of tea and two small dishes, people can eat slowly and comfortably until 9 or 10 in the morning. In Hangzhou, morning markets Pian Chuan, cat's ear noodles, Kong Bao Hui, and Ding Sheng cake each carry a history of hundreds of years. Chengdu morning markets belong to the world of spicy and numbing flavors. Feichang rice noodles, Dendan noodles, Long Chao Shou wontons, and Zheng dumplings. After eating one bowl, your whole body starts to sweat, and your energy rises. This kind of liveliness is very important in Chinese culture. In many Western cultures, comfort is often connected with quiet, privacy, and order. But in many Chinese folk settings, comfort can also be connected with liveliness, human voices, smoke and fire, and crowded spaces. Spring Festival needs to be lively, weddings need to be lively, temple fairs need to be lively, Deji need to be lively, night markets also need to be lively. If a market is too quiet, many Chinese people will feel that it has no human energy. Human energy itself is a kind of value. A line in front of a stall means the food may be good. People walking on the street means the place feels safe. Lights staying on means the city is still alive. For foreign audiences, this is a key point in understanding Chinese morning markets and night markets. They do not only sell goods, they also sell a feeling that people are living together. Behind the modern revival of morning markets and night markets, there are also economic pressures and changes in consumer psychology. Online shopping is convenient, but it cannot fully replace the feeling of choosing things in person. Food delivery can bring food to your door, but it cannot replace the moment when you stand in front of a stall and watch steam rise from the wok. Large shopping malls are clean and bright, but they are often more expensive, and the space is more standardized. Morning markets and night markets offer another choice. They are low cost, easy to enter, rich in goods, and emotionally relaxing. They also give small stall owners, small vendors, farmers, craftsmen, retired people, and young entrepreneurs opportunities to earn income. People's Daily Overseas edition reported on Township Daji around Beijing and mentioned that in the past, going to markets was a standard part of rural life in China. Today, some city people also go specially to Township Daji. The vegetables, fruit, local specialties, and old objects at Daji attract urban residents, and low prices and fewer supply chain steps are also important reasons. This also explains why many young people have started to enjoy visiting morning markets and night markets again. On the surface, it is for filming videos, finding cheap goods, eating snacks, and experiencing something retro. But on a deeper level, it is because standardized life makes people tired. Brands and shopping malls are becoming more and more similar. The taste of chain restaurants is becoming more and more uniform. The rhythm of the city during the day is becoming faster and faster. Morning markets and night markets bring an experience that is not completely controllable. Today, you may find peaches that are especially sweet. Tomorrow, you may discover a humble-looking wonton stall. Tonight, you may have a brief conversation with a strange stall owner because of one skewer of barbecue. It has chance, and it also has a real roughness. For many people, this roughness is exactly what makes it precious. Chinese morning markets and night markets are also very suitable for explaining local China. Morning markets and night markets are also connected to Chinese ideas of family. Traditional Chinese families place great importance on guorizi, which literally means living one's days. It sounds like a very ordinary phrase, but it carries a lot of cultural meaning. Guorizi means managing daily life carefully. It means knowing what vegetables to eat in each season, which stall has cheaper prices, when fish is freshest, what to buy for an elderly person with weak teeth, and what kind of food a child likes. Elderly people often appear in morning markets because they have the time, and they are also good at comparing prices and quality. Many young people in cities are busy with work and may rely on food delivery and supermarkets. But on weekends, they may still be taken by their parents to a morning market or a daji. This process is almost like an education in daily living. How to choose vegetables, how to tell whether a fish is fresh, how to judge whether fruit is sweet, how to talk to stall owners, how to avoid being cheated, and how to buy enough food for a family for several days. This kind of knowledge is rarely written in books, but it is passed down from generation to generation through the market. Night markets, on the other hand, are connected to the way Chinese people socialize. Many Chinese people are not used to placing all social activities in bars, clubs, or formal restaurants. Night markets are more relaxed, and the threshold is lower. Friends can walk and eat at the same time. Co-workers can sit down casually after work. Couples can share a snack. Parents can bring their children out for a walk. Tourists can taste the flavor of a city at a very low cost. The seats in night markets are often not delicate, and the environment is not always quiet, but there is a sense of closeness. The distance between strangers becomes smaller. The cooking process happens right in front of people. People eat while talking, and the city changes from an efficiency machine during the day into a public living room at night. In fact, China's morning markets and night markets have never been simple places of trade. They carry Chinese life wisdom and cultural traditions. From the perspective of food culture, morning markets and night markets are display stages for local food.
Every place has its own special snacks in its morning markets and night markets, and behind these snacks are the local climate, local products, and local habits of life. For example, the north is cold, so breakfast is often hot wheat-based food, such as steamed buns and youtiao. The south is humid, so breakfast includes many rice-based foods, such as rice noodles and zongzi. From the perspective of social culture, morning markets and night markets are public spaces where people communicate. In morning markets, neighbors greet each other when they meet and chat about small family matters. Between stall owners, the temple fairs and rural daji of the Ming and Qing dynasties reflected the continuation of folk society. Modern morning markets and night markets reflect the balance between urban management and people's everyday needs. Chinese history is often told through emperors, generals, wars, dynasties, and institutional changes. But if we only look at these things, we will miss the real everyday China. How ordinary people ate, how they bought things, how they celebrated festivals, how they socialized, and how they kept life going with very little money. These things are also part of history. When telling foreign audiences about China's morning markets and night markets, the best way is not to package them as spectacles. Of course, they have strong visual impact. Red lanterns, white steam, smoke and fire, stalls, crowds, vendors calling out, grilled skewers late at night, and soy milk before dawn. But what is more worth telling is how they connect the ancient and the modern. Today, when a person goes to a daji in the suburbs of Beijing early in the morning, there is a similar logic of daily life to the way rural residents went to periodic markets hundreds of years ago. Today, when a tourist eats snacks in Kaifeng at night, there is also a distant echo of the urban memory left behind by the night markets of Song Dynasty Bianjing. Technology has changed, cities have changed, payment methods have changed from copper coins to QR codes, but people still need to meet in a real physical space, and they still believe that hot food, lights, and human voices can soothe the exhaustion of a long day. If you enjoyed today's episode, feel free to give the show a like, subscribe, and share it with someone you think would enjoy it too. Every listen, every like, and every share truly makes a difference. It directly shapes how far this program can go, and it gives me the motivation to keep digging into the sources, keep asking questions, and keep telling these fascinating stories of history and culture in a clear and engaging way. Thank you for spending this time with me. I will see you in the next episode.